Calling to order the Wednesday, April 15th regular meeting of the Chagrin Falls School Board. Ashley, could you please take the roll?
Porter.
Here.
Foy.
Here.
Kilby. Here. Miller.
Here.
Sabo.
Here. Okay, please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Item 1.03, I make a motion to adopt the agenda as presented. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Porter.
Yes.
Foy.
Yes.
Kilby.
Yes.
Miller.
Yes.
Sabo.
Yes.
Item 1.04, I move to approve the regular meeting minutes from March 11th, 2026. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Foy.
Yes.
Kilby.
Yes.
Miller.
Yes.
Sabo.
Yes.
Porter.
Yes.
Okay, and I believe item 2.01, superintendent's report, we have Corey here to present to us.
Ashley, do you have the plug? Yeah. That delicious turn on.
We'll find out. I think the TV may fall asleep.
Let's see.
You don't have to.
No.
It's very anti-audio on your
There we go.
Really?
Cool.
He was also very anti-culture.
Well, good evening, everyone. I just wanted to take a minute because we've been doing some work this year, a lot of work from our 5+, our advanced math class in 5th grade, all the way up to Algebra 1, on piloting a brand new math program. And when I say brand new, it's very brand new. Last year it was in a beta still, and so we're one of the first districts to really kind of dive into this, certainly in the area, which has been nice because we've had a lot of districts reaching out to us and asking how it's been going as well, which has been cool. So I wanted to walk you through this and just kind of share what this has looked like. And then with the anticipation, I'm still working with the company to kind of hammer out a quote for next year, but we got a ballpark, so that'll be hopefully on the May agenda, so you're not wondering what is Amplified Math and what are we saying okay to, which I hope that's what we would say too. We're all done with this. But, so I just want to, again, kind of share briefly where we were and where we're going with this. So in the past, so K through 5, and we're continuing to do this, we use Bridges Math, and any of you who've recently had children go through the district are probably familiar with it, or the booklets that come home, like Mike is doing, then thankfully we haven't lost one yet. And we're going to continue to do that in our grades K through 5 and using Bridges Math. But in talking to our teachers who teach 5+, that's Mrs. Acton and Mrs. Judge this year, and then up to Algebra 1, we had a lot of conversations going back to the end of the 2024 school year of, 24-25 school year of, okay, it's kind of a good spot here to start exploring or what else is available and out there. And Amplified Math was one that a lot of our teachers had talked about. Nick Leskowitz, who was our math coach here, also was very pro on this, and so we wanted to explore this and potentially shifting from CPM, which is what we had used, over to Amplified Math. And as you get to the high school, our teachers are still using CPM as we get into geometry and Algebra 2 and some other programming beyond that. But we're kind of at a really good spot to explore maybe what other options were out there as well for this. So some quick sort of overview here, but so the target evolution of this is that we were looking for something that better aligned with what our instructional practices have been evolving into in these last few years here, personalized learning, and talking about student engagement, and how we can really dive into that and have our students thinking critically about math. And so CPM was solid, it was great. I wouldn't say it wasn't working by any sense of the imagination, but felt like there might have been better options out there for us to explore to help additional, be an additional tool for our students to learn math, hence Amplify. So we looked at this closely and kind of give you an idea of what we've been doing this year. This has been our pilot year. And so our teachers at the intermediate school that teach 5+, 6th grade, 6+, and then heading over to the middle school, 7th grade math, 8th grade core math, advanced apps, which is our sort of in between those 7th graders who are going to be taking Algebra 1 as 8th graders and needing sort of that bridge there, so they take that advanced apps class, which is like a combination of 7th and 8th grade math. And then some of our Algebra 1 students, and not all the teachers were quite ready to dive into this fully. I said, that's okay, like, we want to sort of evaluate it as we go, and I want you to do what you're comfortable with this year. So, but that's kind of the work we've done this year with support from Amplify. So most of them have been doing it from day one. My son's in 5th grade or 5+. I know Supporter, daughter is also there, and they've been doing Amplify all year. And I mentioned this to Skilby, but said, hey, how's it going? Do you like it? What do you think? So trying to get some feedback from it. As much as a 11-year-old boy will tell me, it's great. He really likes it, he thinks it's interesting. I'll kind of share a little bit about what the program looks like, but we've been doing that classroom implementation and then also providing as much professional development and support to our teachers as we can, both through Amplify, who's been wonderful. We've got an amazing trainer who's worked with us all year, both having virtual meetups, and then she lives in Seattle, but she's flown out here multiple times to do observations and meet with our teachers. And then also we've gotten support from Northeast Ohio ESC, which has been wonderful too. And so just trying to give as much as we can, because the feedback from the teachers was like, we love this, but it is like learning to teach again, which is hard, and respect that and understand that, but I give them a lot of credit because they were committed to it and wanted to keep moving forward with it. The little graphic you see on the right there also is just regarding, if you've never seen Ed Reports, it's a national, not accreditation, but it's a program that evaluates all curricular programs. So whenever we're looking at something, we always like to check Ed Reports, because whenever the state of Ohio does decide to come out with lists that say you have to pick something from this, as they did with ELA a couple years ago, they usually lean on Ed Reports. And thankfully, this is one of the highest rated programs on there. So I already talked about this a little bit, but one of the major things with this is this idea that it uses Desmos, which a lot of our teachers are familiar with. It's an online platform with math. Actually, the state tests use Desmos in order to have kids interact digitally with those state tests. And that's, Amplify actually bought Desmos, and so Desmos is grounded within the Amplify program and rooted in it, so it's kind of a nice aspect of it there. And so you see a lot of visual reasoning. There's a lot of both digital and paper pencil work that the students do in order to work through the math and think critically. And we talk about a lot about like building thinking classrooms within the math curriculum, and what that means is that the students are struggling in a healthy way with trying to work through and do problem solving and work together with it. A really nice aspect that we liked from this is this real-time feedback that you see within the program, so that as students are answering, teachers are constantly getting feedback on their computers right now, and we've been talking a little bit about trying to get tablets for them so they're not tethered to their desks, because they'll be able to move around the classroom too. And then, as I mentioned before, this embedded support. So all this was a really good positive about the program. And then I'm going to shift here and talk a little bit about the three sort of tenets, core tenets that Amplify has, and how they connect with our three core values of connect, create, and challenge. So one is their first practice is establishing norms in terms of just thinking about math and working together on math. And then this curiosity-fueled access, looking for authentic applications of the math. I mean, for me, there's a reason why I became a high school English teacher. Like, it's not that I didn't like math, and I always loved statistics, but just statistics was the only course that I actually saw like, oh, okay, this makes sense at how I can apply this to what I might be doing on a day-to-day basis versus, I don't know when the last time is I had to find the derivative of anything. If any of our math teachers are watching, I'm sorry, I did not mean to offend, but, and then the last part here is again, this synthesis, or that being able to absorb, do formative assessments, give that feedback, and do all those things. So, quick in depth, and I should have said this before, but please stop me if you have any questions or you're curious about anything here that I mentioned. But the first part of this that I mentioned, establishing norms for learning math together, which was a huge piece of CPM actually that our teachers liked, where students would be working in groups. It was a little more restrictive with CPM because someone was the recorder, someone was the writer, someone was the timekeeper, and so you'd run into at times, if you really followed that strictly, was like, oh, I'm not doing this because I'm the timekeeper. Well, no, that's not really what we want. We want all of our students interacting and working on this. And it's been really interesting. We've actually had some opportunities recently to see and walk and observe some of our math classes from 5th grade, 4th grade, and Gurney in the elementary building, all the way up to our AP Calc BC. It's very interesting to see the evolution of how our students learn to sort of interact intellectually with each other, where you sort of progress from like, hey, this person knows the answer, I'm gonna just listen to them, to seeing our math BC kids work through like incredibly complex problems. I mean, I would have been better off in a Spanish class and know what was going on compared to what they were talking about. So it's just really interesting. So this is another way to enhance those math conversations, if you will. So again, I mentioned sort of accessible activities that fuel natural student curiosity. There's a lot of authentic learning in here. And I went back and forth if I was going to actually pull up the program itself and kind of show you what some of these lessons. But I mean, it's everything from, it's very digitally accessible so that you can see like, we're learning about graphing slope and there's a rocket ship being launched and trying to figure out how, the acceleration impacts, how the height of that. And so kind of working through those things and just having a little bit more authenticity to it versus what I know I experienced in math class, which was here are the problems, figure it out, and oh, by the way, all the odd answers are in the back of the book. So we kept our fingers crossed that we would get the evens assigned to us.
Speaking
yeah.
of the book, can you speak to how much of this is going to be only online accessible versus physical paper pencil? Because we do have parents that really embrace the...
So it's a hybrid, it's a mix, but what's nice about it, outside of a very small amount of lessons, there's an option. There's a digital version or a paper pencil book version. Every kid will also, they all get a workbook for this. Our teachers can also print all those things as well. And then conversations that I've had, especially with the middle school teachers, because what they struggled with a little bit this year, and it's good feedback and fair feedback, because we're by no means saying that this is perfect, but it's gonna, we're gonna figure out how we want to tweak it and best meet our needs. They were talking about, we need our kids to get journals next year. I think that's going to be one of the things that they have to do so that they have an ongoing place to write these down and take their notes and do all of this and sort of continue to work through the math. So it's a nice hybrid. There are a couple problems or things within each unit where it's like, they recommend that it's done digitally because there's an interactive nature to it. Like kids can actually make their own problems and then share them with their peers within the class so that they can quiz each other and work through it that way. But again, it's not like you couldn't do that on a piece of paper and hand it out to each other too. So it's a nice blend. And yeah, that's definitely something we looked at and are constantly talking about too. So I'm glad you asked that question. So the last thing here, again, a really nice part of this, as I mentioned, we're constantly talking about, we know our teachers are awesome at gathering data and looking at data and doing all those things, but then the question is, what do you do with it too? And so being able to adjust instruction and change that and meet those needs of those students who may be excelling and need the opportunity to be pushed a little further, and those who need additional help. And this gives some really good in-time, instant feedback on what's happening within the classroom so that the teacher can adjust. So just wrapping up here, as I mentioned, this year was our pilot year. Next year, and we had a lot of conversations about, do we want to lock into a 4-year, a 5-year, even a 6-year contract with them, or like how are we feeling? And all the feedback I got from our teachers was that, can we do one more year? Can we just say, let's do one more year and make sure that this is absolutely, we feel good about this, and then say, yep, we're going. And I said, yeah, I mean, we're going to put a lot of work in for 2 years here to come back and say, no, we're gonna scrap this all together. They go, no. Like we would say with 99.9% certainty, we want to move forward with this. We just don't want to find something drastic, or who knows, the state of Ohio does something and all of a sudden, we're here for 4 years, but it's not gonna do what we needed to do. So we're looking at next year and then reevaluating, making sure everything is working the way we want it to, and then potentially locking in for probably 3 or 4 years down the road. So I just wanted to make sure. So next year's, and you'll see this, like I said, probably on the next board meeting, because I'm still working through a couple of the last numbers and making sure we already have a lot of the material, so I don't need doubles sitting usually in this room right here of all those materials and paying for that. Just making sure we have everything we need and getting that quote as accurate as possible. But be somewhere in around 30,000 is what we're anticipating. So I don't want to maybe be surprised by that. And some of that will be actually offset a little bit by student fees for those consumable materials as well. Any questions on that?
I have when I read it, I don't know if you were here when the district had the talent code. So we read the talent code, and one thing that was really interesting about that is it talked about the way to build talent is not an innate skill, but presuming all of us have innate skill. Like the way to help build that is to give really instantaneous feedback. And so that's what, when I read about this program, that's what it kind of reminded me of, and what it made me think is instead of turning your homework in and then a week or 2 weeks later getting it graded back, the teachers are able to view it and say no, here's where instead of this, I understand where you got there, but here's instead of this is how you do that. And so it's just much more instantaneous and helping the students build their skills immediately. Is that how it is?
Absolutely, and that's a real nice aspect of that program where, again, that's where the digital side of it is nice, because you can quickly see what the students are doing as they work through this, and it's all appearing there for the teacher. They're getting that instantaneous feedback. And I've talked to Mrs. Ulrich was one who I'll talk about, who's at one of our wonderful teachers at the intermediate school, where she said, hey, I was trying to get to this point in the lesson, but I saw that 80% of my kids were stuck here and we couldn't quite get this, so we were able to go back and work through this. But while she was doing that, the other 20%, she was able to sort of release them to go a little bit further too, and that was okay. So kind of adds that aspect of differentiation within the classroom, and you're right, it gives you that immediate feedback too. I equate it to, I coached tennis and soccer, and anytime I could find ways to bring some of those aspects into my classroom, where you see a kid kick a ball the wrong way, you know right away if they're kicking the ball the wrong way. I don't need you to take a quiz and come back to me, and that's a great part of this for our teachers.
Sounds really cool.
I think so.
How does it evolve from grade to grade? Because I've got 5th grader and
Yep.
7th grader.
Yeah.
The 5th grader brings home math worksheets pretty consistently. The 7th grader it's always an assignment on the
Digitally.
digital.
Yeah.
And I know that because I help her through a lot of that stuff. When they post the answer, it's just the answer.
Yep.
And so is that where the journaling?
That's what we've been talking a lot about.
Otherwise, the teacher doesn't really know how.
And again, we'll probably see that evolve a little bit from this year to next year. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, some of this was an experimentation, and
Sure.
Our kids are doing awesome, and so no harm is being done, but that's where some of that conversation was, because we saw early on, you have the option, at least on the digital side, right? You can just start plugging answers in there and click and check, and if you get it wrong, all right, we'll try something else, and we try something else, and we try something else, which I do appreciate the resiliency of our students, but we want them to apply that to actually learning the math and not just.
It is limited to 2 now, so.
It's true, yeah, I know they did adjust that, so that helps a little bit. Yeah, so that's where we had some of those conversations about doing the journals and being able to keep a better eye on those things too as they go through that. Again, that's gonna probably vary a little bit too. I mean, we wanna give some autonomy to the teachers. I know we're, following our standards and making sure we're going through there, but if something seems to fit a little bit better for one class versus another, that's okay also. So, work in progress still, as we kind of work through this and make it fit what we need best for our students.
Corey, I don't know if I missed this, but what's the transition between 4th grade into this then? Does it feel like it's a little bit easier from Bridges to this in terms of transition, or like the kids being like, whoa?
No, I don't think it hasn't been whoa, I can tell you that much. And actually, another thing that has been really nice about this is, which I think fits a little better with Bridges, CPM was very heavy in terms of how much reading you had to do.
Yeah.
And so we would have kids who, they may be really strong with the math, but the reading became a barrier for them, which, again, we want them to be good at everything. So this fits a little bit better in terms of how Bridges sort of progresses through in that respect too, and aligns a little bit better. We're still looking at that, right? Like we want to make sure that, we are looking at this vertically and that there aren't any potential gaps.
Yeah. Is there anything that needs to happen?
Exactly, and that's kind of always a little bit of a tweaking and work in motion. It's something we're constantly talking about in terms of making sure that we know that a 4th grader is going from point A to point B so that they're ready to go in 5th grade, and then again A to B to 6th grade and continuing through that.
Is this anything that Amplify is talking about?
Yeah.
Their resourcing?
And we do, like Amplify has curriculum maps within there and pacing guides and all of those things, so we can, and quite frankly, despite all the AI fatigue that some people may be feeling right now, one of the things that ChatGPT or other AI is really good at is if I give it a Bridges curriculum and I give it an Amplify one and I say, hey, and here's our state standards, like help me see where there are gaps within here, and so using some of those tools to do that too. The state testing this year will also be good. I mean, I know our kids are going to do well because they're well prepared, but it'll be interesting too to see like, okay, are there things in here that either they achieved higher on than they have in the past, or are there areas where maybe we need to close a gap a little bit too. So, yep.
Yeah, so if you started upper 5th and you're up to algebra, do you see it extending down to 1st grade eventually? Or is this something that's just going to stay in that kind of middle?
We'll see. Like I know some districts, like I'll use Mayfield for example, because we had been talking to them a little bit too, and they're adopting K through 8 for this. Yeah, like I said before, we really like what our teachers are doing with Bridges, K through really 5 until you get to that 5 plus or 6 class, depending on when you're in. But again, we're constantly looking at this and evaluating and making sure that it's what's best fit for our students. So possibly, but certainly not something that we're looking at for next year or even the year after that. Yeah.
So can I ask you?
Yeah.
So would you say, is it fair to say that this program is a good combination of technology and yet also using the expertise of our teachers to ensure that children are learning appropriately to their own needs?
I definitely think that's fair to say. And the conversations that we have is that our teachers aren't teaching Amplify. Our teachers aren't teaching Benchmark Advanced for ELA. Our teachers aren't teaching CPM. Our teachers are teaching math. They're teaching English. They're teaching language arts. They're teaching science. They're teaching social studies. So we want to look at these as a tool, an important one, right? So we don't have to create an entire curriculum by ourselves. But it's still a tool to achieve teaching those standards and helping those students grow. And so that's this is a very good tool, and the feedback has been extremely positive, both from staff and students in terms of engagement. So, yes.
And then my last question is, so for the students who are working through this program, and so they're going to be very accelerated in math, to my understanding, we still have the ability to meet their needs after they finish the program by such things as some of our IP classes, the CCP offerings.
Yeah.
So they're not gonna top out.
Right, and that's the goal there. And again, this is not just for our students who are accelerated either, or in those advanced math classes. And there are, starting with 6th grade, our core math classes are all using this as well. But, and again, we talked about it briefly, but the goal is to make sure that wherever you are in our math path, you have the ability to get to whatever class that you want to achieve to. And so if that's AP Calculus VC, just because you're in 6th grade core math and not that advanced class at that time, doesn't mean you can't reach that point. And we want to make sure that there aren't any pathways closed to our students. So, in a nutshell, I'm going to recommend that we adopt this. But again, I wanted to just share this information with you, so come next board meeting when ideally you see it on the agenda, and there aren't a lot of questions about what the heck is this. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
They're not connecting.
They're with us. Okay.
Can you turn that a little bit?
I can't see.
Yeah, I think Mike's plan is to have one facing the camera, one facing us, but,
I think eventually it's going to be one on either side and then.
oh, okay. Okay, monthly financials for February. Okay, we started out with 14.6 million in the general fund, received 1.374 million, spent 2.965 for a deficit for the month of nearly 1.6. You don't typically see that in February because in the past we've gotten more of our taxes, which you'll see in a minute when you compare to the prior years. Our advances were reduced, but our overall revenue was not. So Cuyahoga used to give us 90% of our advance, of the money that they collect, we would get 2 advances, and then there's the settlement. This year they cut the first one, I think, down to 50, and the next one was at like 30, or maybe that was vice versa, I don't know, whatever it was. When we first got the settlement, I freaked out, and then I saw, oh, they're only giving us a portion of it. Every school and entity in the county was in the same boat. And last week, they informed us that they will no longer be doing advances. So we are not going to get our tax money until the settlement. So we will get one giant payment.
When would we get that?
From now on, they're not.
But when would we get the?
We would just get the settlement. So we'll get the probably March and then the September payment. So typically they give us, you know, there's like 3 payments, they break it down. So as they're collecting money, because they're holding hundreds of billions of dollars for the county. This is not just us, it's every school district, it's every entity in the county. So they would take a percentage of it just to make sure that, you know, they don't want to advance all of it, and if there was something that happened, then we'd have to get money back if there was like a refund or mistake or something. So they would advance us a portion of what they had collected. Then at the end, they would take the total and then we would settle up. So they're no longer going to be doing advances. As you'll see tonight, when we talk about every month when we look at that cash flow that we have, we dip pretty low before we get our cash from our settlements. So I don't think we're going to be in a position next year where we have to liquidate any investments or anything like that, but there certainly are entities and public schools who are going to be in that position who are not going to be able to make payroll in January if they don't get their advance. So it's kind of a big deal. but
Are we gonna
that's the
lose
way it is.
interest? Like, cause the money that we got from them, did you have that in interest-bearing accounts? So, yeah, okay.
Yeah, and that was the thing too, a couple people responded, because they informed us over email. There were a few entities that, asked questions. And yeah, one of the questions was, you're holding hundreds of millions of dollars for 2 months. What do you make up your dreams?
Yeah, that's not.
So, there's a lot going on with property taxes right now. So this is, part of that. We currently, next year will be okay. We're not gonna have to, we'll be able to make payroll. But there are districts that won't in January that are gonna have to, and they will incur penalties and fees for taking investments out early. So, yeah, it's not wonderful, it's not ideal, but that is the situation currently. So I will let you know if that evolves or changes.
And that was at the state level?
Cuyahoga.
That was just Cuyahoga.
I don't know if it's just Cuyahoga. I know that we've been informed by them. I've not been informed of anything of Geauga. Geauga currently is still giving advances as far as I know. We're not included as a Geauga school on all of their lists, so a lot of times they'll send out communications that affect us when we're not included. So I have to call the other treasurers and say, hey, have you heard? And then they forward me the email. Because we're kind of like, on the outskirts there. But I did call a treasurer in Geauga County, and they have not been informed of anything similar at this point. So.
And it's totally within their discretion? They can just say that? They give a reason? I mean.
Yeah, the email was vague, but there's, I think just with all of the stuff that's going on with property taxes, I think they have just some more discretion.
They only want to call their local representative, and they don't know.
Just wanted to let you know. Okay, looking at revenue, so the blue is the current year. This is month by month comparing to the previous several years. You can see in the past we've gotten larger advances. In February, we got a pretty small amount here, so you should expect this March number to go up. This is year to date, again, because of those taxes, that's the big decrease here. We have been going down. You can see if you went back to 22 and 23, we got pretty big advances early. Then we started getting later, so you can see it didn't happen last year. The last couple of years used to be more even. If you're looking at these lighter bars, those are the prior years that were further back. We used to get more in February. It was kind of even in March. Then it started dropping. So then in March it would tick up. So it would be made whole. It just
I don't want to get ahead, but since we are in April, was March kind of where you expected it to be based on that?
yeah, and we got our homestead rollback as well. So yeah,
Okay.
we got it. It just was on
No specifics.
kind of a different schedule this year.
No, it's
Yeah.
not what we're reporting on.
Yeah.
I'm just curious.
Okay, moving to expenditures in the general fund. Again, the color is the current year, so orange is current year. The shades of gray there are prior years. Holding pretty steady. Our expenditures are actually slowing. The growth is slowing because there's a district-wide effort to find efficiencies and control costs anywhere humanly possible. So thank you to all of our staff. So you can see, current year expenditures to date are almost exactly what they were a year ago. And clearly there's been inflation from a year to now, so kudos to everybody who's contributed to that. Okay, this is what I was talking about earlier. This is our cash flow, so you can see, we get our settlements, we get taxes, and then we spend down, and then we get taxes, and then we spend down. This situation here is what a lot of schools are really concerned about right now. That particularly January is where it starts to look dicey for quite a few schools right now. We know this orange line current year is lower than previous years. We knew that. We are deficit spending. We've been projecting that, and we're aware of it. So we do expect this cash balance to continue to be lower than previous years at this point, because we're at the end of the levy cycle. We're spending on our cash. Self-insurance fund is looking great. This is the good news that I have for you. If this continues to keep ticking up like this, I am hoping that we will be able to do another holiday, hopefully around the holidays. That would be great for everybody. That kind of stuff. So anyway, yes, we ended at 2.9, so it does keep going up a little bit each month. Keep in mind, it will probably go down a little bit in the summer. That's when people, they hold off on procedures and big things that they need to get done, so those claims payments increase during the summer. So you would expect to see the cash balance drop a little bit, but right now it's really good.
But even in those instances, you have certain initiatives to help. I think I saw an email about finding ways to maximize any potential, things that are done in the summer.
Yeah, so are you
price
talking
shop?
about the shopper?
Yes.
Yeah, that applies all the time. I just send the reminder out now because I know people are starting to plan for summer, so I send the reminder like, hey, you could save money if you look at it. But it does apply all year. I mean, we can use that at any time, and it has saved us some money.
Excellent.
And our staff members as well. Okay, deposits and investments. This is where our cash is. So most of it is in our Star Ohio account. That's what pretty liquid, but we do earn interest on it. The orange here is our investment management account. This is where this money kind of just, once it's in there, it stays and it grows. That's the point of it. But it's not. This is where we would have to, if we don't have enough in these portions of the pie here, we would have to pull out some investments. And this is what some districts are looking at. They're going to have to do. They're going to have to start pulling some of their funds from their investment accounts, which is sad as well because that's where you're making higher interest rates. That's where you're making money on money. So they're going to have to pull some of those out. Probably because since I don't get okay. Anything on February? Any questions for the spotlight? Okay. So the financial spotlight I put together is this should look familiar. This is a table that I've been presenting kind of annually. It's also out on the website at all times. I updated it because last month you approved those tax rates, and so we're ready now to add this next year on here. So I added this on. What I like for you to see and understand, the bond millage. Remember, we were at 8. That was because we had debt. As we paid that off in 2020, we then moved that millage into an operating. So you can see that millage went down from 8.15 down to 4.3, and then that was the 3.85 levy that we passed. So that millage just kind of moved down here into operating. So it was not new money, but we continued to be able to collect that. Since then, so since that levy and that one debt issuance fell off, we have had a steady decline here in this millage as well. And so this is actual reduction. So this is reduction of the mills. This is not the effective millage. The effective millage is here. So that obviously is continuing to go down as time goes by. That's by design. This in this box is bond mills that we have chosen to reduce as we've paid that debt down. So these are actual mills that are being reduced. It's not just the effective. Move to the effective. This is just a better view of kind of understanding that. So the total amount here, these amounts at the top here are the total mills, the total voted millage, which would correspond, if this was all on one page like it is in the actual reports, would correspond to these totals here. So you can see total assessed mills has continued to go down as a result of these bond mills going down. And then the effective mills would have gone down anyway, but they've gone down more because of the actual millage going down. The gray here is the full voted amount, and it's kind of what I refer to as the lost millage. And then the orange is what we're actually collecting. So you can see in 18, 19, so tax year 18, collection year 19, because we collect a year behind. We were collecting effective mills of 60.88. Tax year 25, which is being collected currently, in 26, we're down to 43.44, so the effective mills has gone down. As property values go up, remember we reduce the millage so that the dollar amount stays the same. That's why our taxes don't grow with inflation. And to further illustrate that, it's out of whack. All the numbers are still there. Again, same information, just in a different format. This is the table of this column here is the approved tax rate. This is the reduction factor that the county applies based on our property values. So when property values go up, they apply a reduction factor so that our effective rate will go down so that the dollar amount that we collect stays the same. And then this is that effective rate after that reduction factor has been applied. So in 1976, when they established House Bill 920, we had 4.5 inside mills, so this 3 and then this 1.5, that's inside. And then voted was 41.6. Currently, in this current year, we're collecting 43.43. That's total of all of ours, and that includes the 25 bond mills that we're still collecting. I don't know if there was any bond millage in 1976. I'm sure I could look that up somewhere. But even with our bond millage, we're lower than what we were collecting in 1976. So, we are, I don't know what phrase to use, if we're beating inflation, if we're falling behind inflation, I don't know how to say it. But we are, if we had just gone up with inflation, we would be collecting the same millage. And we're collecting less. So we're doing more with less.
Thank you. All right, do we have anybody here for public participation? Sure.
Oh, this is not even here anymore.
Yeah, no. All right, consent agenda. I move to approve all items of the consent agenda, which is items 5.02 through 5.14. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
No, just a comment on the number of items you're starting to see in consent. Basically, what those are either reoccurring contracts or pieces that we do on a yearly basis, or something that by board policy I have the power and authority to approve, and so therefore we're asking for board consent. So we're being more intentional about what we put into consent on an agenda, and just so everyone's clear how consent works, if there's ever an item that we're not comfortable being in that collection of items, at the board meeting, that can be pulled down to be something that's voted on individually. So just so everyone's on the same page, that's why consent is going to start to look different.
We always need more substitutes. That's usually the only thing we say in that section.
Kelby,
Yes.
Miller,
Yes.
Sabo,
Yes.
Bordner,
Yes.
Boyd.
Yes. Did we have a second?
Yes, Danielle.
Item 6.01, I move to approve the 2026-27 Student Athlete Handbook as presented. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Jennifer, do you want to say anything about this one?
So just one comment is that there are still things across all of our handbooks, and we're in handbook season, to be making modifications for the upcoming school year. The changes you saw this time were mostly because of some type of legislation that was required, and I apologize that I don't have access to the agenda right now. But what you'll see then coming up in May and June will be the school handbooks, and when we get those aligned, there may be pieces of this one. So if this one pops up again in June, don't be surprised, because it's really important that everything's aligned.
Miller,
Yes.
Sabo,
Yes.
Bordner,
Yes.
Boyd,
Yes.
Kilby.
Yes.
Item 6.02, I move to approve the non-renewal of certified as-needed contracts effective at the end of the 2025-2026 school year as presented. Do I have a second?
I second.
Sabo,
Yes.
Bordner,
Yes.
Boyd,
Yes.
Kilby,
Yes.
Miller.
Yes. Item 6.03, I move to approve the following certified staff for additional hours as presented. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Bordner,
Yes.
Boyd,
Yes.
Kilby,
Yes.
Miller,
Yes.
Sabo.
Yes.
Item 6.04, I move to approve a continuing contract status for the presented certified staff. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
So for a continuing contract, there are specific guidelines that teachers are expected that they have to meet in order to be recommended to the board. So this one is why this may look a little different and new to some of our board members. You'll also notice that there's a member on that list who resigned in a previous meeting. And there was a question, why is that person getting continuing? Continuing is based on whether or not they completed that process. And so since the candidate did, she should be recommended for continuing contract. And so that, just to clarify that, so that everyone's on the same page, you either meet the requirements or you don't meet them. And so it's our job to bring to you and to recommend to you those candidates that have.
Okay.
Boyd,
Yes.
Kilby,
Yes.
Miller,
Yes.
Sabo,
Yes.
Bordner.
Yes.
Item 6.05, I move to approve the non-renewal of classified as-needed contracts effective at the end of the 2025-2026 school year as presented. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Kilby,
Yes.
Miller,
Yes.
Sabo,
Yes.
Bordner,
Yes.
Boyd.
Yes.
Item 6.06, I move to approve the following classified staff for additional hours as presented. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Miller,
Yes.
Sabo,
Yes.
Bordner,
Yes.
Boyd,
Yes.
Kilby.
Yes.
All right, item 6.07, I move to approve the presented coaches and volunteers for fall high school and middle school athletic programs contingent upon meeting all requirements. Do I have a second?
I second.
Sabo,
Yes.
Did
Oh,
you
yes.
hear just from the presentation Corey did? I hope you noted that he said he coached tennis.
I heard that.
I just want to make sure that that's recorded in the minutes.
And written down.
Sorry.
You're on record.
My kids get a little bit older.
Yeah.
Oh, please.
Okay, Sabo,
Yes.
Hoy,
Yes.
Kilby,
Yes.
Miller,
Yes.
Wardner, I apologize, I was at work.
Item 6.08, I move to approve the quote with Neonet for core network replacement equipment at Chagrin Falls Intermediate School as presented. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Wardner,
Yes.
Hoy,
Yes.
Kilby,
Yes.
Miller,
Yes.
Sabo.
Yes.
Item 6.09, I move to approve the contract with Ganley Kia of Mentor for the purchase of 2 Kia Carnival vans as presented. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
I think the one thing I'll just note here is Mike Morgan and the team do a really good job of ensuring that we're keeping good maintenance on our vehicles as well as rotating and purchasing vehicles as needed on a schedule. So that's what's being reflected here.
I'm still waiting for our ride on the bus
Yeah.
that we bought.
Yeah.
You hear that?
Careful when you wish
Um,
things happen.
I appreciate that they specifically mention about reaching that balance of most cost-effective versus operating life expected. My family has dealt with this a lot lately, so this is very, very near and dear to my heart.
Ken Ganley. Commercial in my head now. Radio.
Hoy,
Yes.
Kilby,
Yes.
Miller,
Yes.
Sabo.
Yes.
Wardner.
Yes.
Item 6.10, I move to approve the presented staff and volunteers for summer community education programs contingent on meeting all requirements. Do I have a second?
I second.
Kilby,
Yes.
Miller,
Yes.
Sabo,
Yes.
Wardner,
Yes.
Hoy.
Yes.
Item 6.11, I move to approve the following payments for community education programming as presented. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
I want to make sure I understand. These are, this has all happened. These are all dates that already occurred between February and March of 2026, correct?
Did you hear that, Jen?
I'm sorry that I have no access to
Oh, no,
that.
she has no internet right now.
I'm in dark right now. so
I remember reading.
I'm passing Ashley my computer.
So
It's all
someone
happened,
can look
okay.
up there.
I've got it. She's got it.
Ashley's not.
Yes, so this is one-day charm bracelet workshop, cross-stitch creations, hobby workshop. So, yeah,
They've been completed.
Okay.
yeah, so they're done with the work, and it's not, you don't necessarily set a rate for these, you pay after. And part of the reason is because it's
Contingent on
somewhat
sign-up,
based
right?
on how many people register, how much money the program brings in.
Right.
Miller,
Yes.
Sabo,
Yes.
Wardner,
Yes.
Hoy,
Yes.
Kilby.
Yes.
Okay. On to treasurer's recommendation.
Okay, 7.01 is for then and now certificates. These are when we have something that is an exception and something happens where the invoice is dated prior to the purchase order in order to not receive a citation. The law does allow, there's a caveat in the law that allows for us to certify that at the time that the purchase was made or the order was placed, and currently we do have the money in the coffers to cover this, so that's what these are. I'm recommending your approval.
So moved. So moved.
I'll second.
Who seconded?
I did.
Okay. Sabo,
Yes.
Wardner,
Yes.
Boyd,
Yes.
Hilby,
Yes.
Miller. Yes. Item 7.02 is the monthly financial reports that I went through at the beginning of the meeting. Recommending approval.
So moved.
Second.
Wardner,
Yes.
Boyd,
Yes.
Hilby,
Yes.
Miller,
Yes.
Sabo.
Yes.
business, no further public participation.
Mr. Jans?
Right. We have 3 meetings coming up that are work sessions. Those take place on April 17th, April 18th, and May 13th. And our next regular meeting will be on May 27th at 7 PM in this room.
I just want to clarify one thing for everyone. Work sessions, the intent is not to take board action on anything. And if that changes, we would notice that. We would make sure that the agenda reflected that for that meeting.
All right, I make a motion to enter into executive session in accordance with Ohio Revised Code 121.22 for the sole purpose of the consideration of the following matters. A, to consider one or more as applicable of the check-marked items with respect to a public employee or official employment, and D, preparing for conducting or reviewing negotiations or bargaining sessions with public employees concerning their compensation or other terms and conditions of their employment.
A second.
Thank you.
Boyd,
Yes.
Kilby,
Yes.
Miller,
Yes.
Sabo,
Yes.
Warner.
Yes.
Okay, we will not take action after the executive session. All right. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, so that balance of life, you know, life of the car versus whatever it is. My husband